So you know how very often on my channel I compare the wokeness levels in USA and Europe, and how usually the USA is far ahead of Europe in that sense? Well, lately Europe has been winning the race, unfortunately. A group of drag queens and dancers performed at the opening of the 2024 Olympic Games in Paris, what seems to be a parody of the Last Supper painting, and the world is not taking it lightly. Rightfully so, I'd say. It was so shocking and offensive that even Elon Musk tweeted about it. Some people even started to refer to this year's event as woke Olympics Games. We're all so sick of all these big international events becoming a political joke, a playground for these people to push limits and offend people. The more controversial, the better. The worst part of it is that it's all disguised under the word diversity or inclusivity, but it's all just a PR strategy. Let us outrage people and they will talk about the event. Before I get into more detail, please take a second to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on the notifications to never miss another daily Freddo episode. Thank you very much. So it all started this year with the drag queens carrying the traditional Olympic torch. Take a look.
3 drag queens have been selected to carry the Olympic torch, with the Olympic ceremony kicking off on Friday, July 26th in Paris. Tradition as old as the games themselves, the flame was ignited in Olympia, Greece, and will journey through France, culminating in Paris. Passing through some of France's most historic locations, the flame will be carried by chosen ambassador relay runners. Miss Martini became the first drag queen in history to carry the Olympic flame. This happened a day before former Drag Race Season 12 contestant and Drag Race France host Nikki Dahl played her part. Nikki highlighted the importance of inclusion to France. 3. The torch passes from hand to hand, regardless of sexual orientation and profession. Before adding that, it shows that we're accepted by our beautiful country. The Marseille-born drag queen shared footage of the moment to her Instagram with the caption, "As the flame passes through France, it announces the Olympic Games and spreads a message of peace and friendship between peoples." Which is why when I was invited to do it, I immediately said yes and worked hard to fit in my schedule. There will be a total of 3 drag queens participating in the relay. Inna Majest, who will run on July 14th in Paris, has been targeted online for her participation. The official Paris X account wrote that Jess had been the victim of homophobic and transphobic insults. Far-right politician Marion Maréchal debated Minima's inclusion in an interview on the channel TF1. This person performs in a way that is particularly vulgar, hypersexualized, she said. "I don't think it's a good way to represent France in the eyes of the world." Paris Mayor Anne Hidalgo expressed her support for Minima, stating, "Paris is proud that a drag queen will carry the torch and the values of peace and humanity." Minima Jest highlighted the importance of visibility on an international scale by saying,
Un des messages que j'aimerais beaucoup porter avec ce relais, c'est la fierté de ma communauté que j'apporte avec moi, parce qu'il y a 10 ans, c'est quelque chose qui n'aurait jamais été possible, avoir une drag queen qui porte la flamme olympique.
Diversity and inclusion are a big aspect of the upcoming games, as the International Olympic Committee wrote. Gender equality, inclusion, and diversity are an integral part of the IOC's vision of building a peaceful and better world through to sport. The Paris Olympics are already...
So this drag queen says 10 years ago it wouldn't be possible. Yes, 10 years ago it wouldn't happen because everyone seemed to understand back then that drag queen was a type of performative art meant to be seen by adults. It was a nighttime entertainment for adults, okay? How did we go from that to drag queens being honored and part of LGBTQ community? Being drag is not a sexual orientation. Argue with me as much as you want on that. But it's not. So it doesn't even make sense for a drag queen to be referred to as a representation of the rainbow community. It's like having a circus performer being a representative of the straight community. What does it have to do with anything? Yes, drag queens are mostly gay men, but you have straight men performing in drag too. Now somehow, after years of watching how drag queens have been invited to our children's schools to read stories, how they have been performing in front of kids and child-friendly events, how they've been invited to churches, how they took over all major international happenings, we finally arrive at the Olympics ceremony, carrying the torch. For those who take part in Olympics and care for the event, this is an abomination. Because carrying a torch is supposed to be this huge honor. And these people get to do that because they are men who wear women's clothes. Let's see what people had to say about it. So, now the end begins, tweeted, "In Emmanuel Macron's Paris, a drag queen receives the eternal flame of the Olympic torch, thus guaranteeing I will not watch one single second of that mess." Another person tweeted, "It's a really good way to lose half of your potential viewers. I'm out." This one, "Wow, I am sick of this." And another one, "Paris is holding the first ever woke Olympics. Congrats to them." So all that happened a couple of days ago, and people back then didn't know how much worse it would get on the actual opening ceremony of the Games. Fox News wrote, "Olympics opening ceremony sparks outrage with drag queens parodying Last Supper, gone completely woke." The article continues. The 2024 Olympics opening ceremony in Paris has sparked international outrage with drag queen-themed imagery of religious and historical figures. In between listing of the countries participating in the Olympic Games, there have been several performances riffing on France's history and culture, such as Headless Marie Antoinette, the last queen prior to being executed amid French Revolution, singing with her severed head in her hands, sporting drag-style makeup. This was part of numerous drag queens that appeared to be a recurring theme throughout the ceremonies. And then it says, one new display on Friday showed what appeared to be numerous performers, including drag queens and large woman in an aureole halo crown, parodying the Last Supper, a universally recognizable painting by Renaissance artist Leonardo da Vinci of Christ and his apostles. Let's just take a look first.
Performing the song King, costumes, none other than Louis Vuitton.
So you don't have to be a genius to see the clear reference to Last Supper. And yes, if you're a Christian and you take your faith seriously and close to your heart, you would be offended by it. Why aren't we seeing any parodies of other faiths in there? Why aren't there any Muslims in drag on stage, for example? We know why, because they would not take it lightly. In 2024, we can make fun of Christian faith, we can be racist towards white people, we can mock womanhood, but anything the other way around is of course forbidden. And mocking Christianity is somehow inclusive. It's supposed to be a message of acceptance. Please. Here are some celebrities that tweeted about it, starting with Riley Gaines. Men in wigs front and center at the Olympic Games. No one ever tell me this group is oppressed or marginalized again. Yep. Elon Musk took 2 eggs and said, notice how I said eggs, not eggs, eggs. I still can't say it. Twitter. He tweeted, this was extremely disrespectful to Christians. And here in a reply by Natalie Denelicht, we see there was a kid on stage with the drag queens. But of course there was a kid there, because in our times, whenever you see a drag queen, that means there are kids nearby. God's sake. The tweet says, did you see what looks like a little kid? So disgusting. Someone else answered to Musk, I'm sick of people pushing Christianity aside and disrespecting it as a religion like no one disrespects Muslims or Buddhism like this. It's just sickening. And Ollie London wrote, Olympics openly mocks Jesus' Last Supper as drag queens dressed as women play the role of disciples while a plus-size woman appears in the middle symbolizing Jesus wearing a giant crown. Yes, another thing. Olympics being all about human excellence, athletes pushing their limits, and we have an obese lady on stage somehow being relevant here. Can we stop with body positivity, at least in this area? Because to be an excellent athlete, it means you have to eat extremely right, train, sculpt your body into performing under extreme pressure. It is not about being inclusive, it's about being excellent, the best, better than others. And it's okay. It's about winning that gold medal, not a participation trophy. So yeah, sense is not sensing here. There were so many tweets of celebrities that commented on this BS opening. Clint Russell says, this is crazy, opening your event by replacing Jesus and the disciples at the Last Supper with men in drag. There are 2.4 billion Christians on earth, and apparently the Olympics wanted to declare loudly to all of them right out of the gate. Not welcome. Juanita Broderick tweeted, Paris had fallen before the Olympics. This is just a continuation of it. Yep. Conservative French politician and European Parliament member Marion Maréchal, I hope I am pronouncing it right, to all the Christians of the world who are watching the Paris 2024 ceremony and felt insulted by this drag queen parody of the Last Supper, know that it is not France that is speaking, but the left-wing minority ready for any provocation. And finally, Libs of TikTok tweeted, the Olympics has basically turned into one long drag show. The Olympics has gone completely woke. Woke Olympics. Yes, it did. And people online started comparing how things used to be at the Olympics and how they become today. It shows how far gone we are. Take a look. Or this one. This one really shows how the world changed in the last 80 years. This one makes me sad. You could see that Olympics used to be about the sport and athletes, and the opening ceremony reflected that. Today it's about statement, shock, outrage, fake inclusivity. Generally, people commented that the opening in Paris, except the degenerate stuff, was unpolished, uncoordinated, as if they didn't have enough time to practice. Some people even said, my husband said it's like being forced to watch your kids perform in the living room. I can't disagree. But as usual, you guys tell me. Is the world overreacting? Is involving drag queens in Olympics opening ceremony an act of positive inclusivity, or just another woke move to push the world even further into degeneracy? Let me know in the comments. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel, turn on the notifications to never miss another Daily Freddo episode. And for even more content, follow me on Instagram @dailyfreddo. That's all for today. Have a good one.